Every creative that I talk to right now is having the same conversation about AI. Will it replace me? Is my business going to survive this? Should I be learning the new tools or should I just ride the wave? And I get it. The anxiety is real. The industry is moving fast and nobody wants to be left behind. But here's what no one's telling you. You're asking the wrong question entirely. The question is not, will AI take my job? The question is, am I using AI to finally build the business that I should have 5 years ago? And those are two completely different questions. And which one you're focused on right now will determine exactly where your production company is going to be in the next 3 to 5 years. So in this video, I'm going to show you the shift that actually matters. And it has nothing to do with whether AI can edit footage, create images, or write a script. So quick bit of context on why I'm talking about this. I've been running my own video production company for over 12 years. We've worked on projects from a few $1,000s when we were first getting started to projects upwards of $500,000 on single productions and single deliverables. And we do that with only 3 people. Myself, my business partner, and our first employee that we hired less than a year ago. We have no in-house editors, no staff directors, no big social following, no cold outreach, and very minimal paid ads via Google. We run a producer-led model built on outsourced talent with a clear system on how we run projects. I built a multi-7-figure production company without any of the things most people assume you need. And the reason I'm telling you this is because the same thinking that led me to scale without a team is the exact same thinking that changes how you should be looking at AI right now. Here's what I think is happening for most of you. You got into video because you love the craft. You love being on set. You love the moment that the shot comes together exactly the way that you saw it in your head. And that's what drives you. And at some point, the business side started to pile up on you. Proposals that were taking longer and longer, up to half a day to write. Contracts that you sent out getting ignored and hoping that the contract covered you legally. And you've probably had invoices stacking up that need following up on, but you feel weird doing it and feel awkward asking for money from your clients for whatever reason. There's probably months where you had decent revenue, but still felt like you were barely keeping afloat. And that's because you have no real visibility into where your money's going. And nobody taught you any of that. You learned how to shoot, you learned how to edit, and you probably learned how to color grade, you learned audio, motion graphics, and so on. But nobody sat you down and said, here's how you run a business. Here's how you price your work. Here's how you manage cash flow, so you're not guessing every single month. So you've probably been trying to figure it out alone, Googling things at midnight, watching videos like this one, and piecing together business education gaps between shoots. And that's the real problem, not AI. The real problem here is the gap that's always existed between being a great creative and operating like a great business. And that gap has been the ceiling on your growth for years. And now, with AI entering the picture, most people are focusing on the wrong thing entirely. And here's why that gap matters more now than it ever has. The video production market is getting more and more competitive by the month. Gear is getting cheaper, entry barriers are lower, and the companies that used to need video production companies are now getting pitched by 3 freelancers who can do it for half the price. So if you're going to survive and prosper in this environment, you can't afford just to be a good shooter anymore. You have to show up and be great at business. You need to have professional proposals, dialed in pricing, clean project management, incredible customer service. If you're spending 25% of your working week on admin, such as proposals, contracts, emails, invoicing, chasing payments, financial tracking, anything in that space, that's roughly 10 hours a week that you're not generating revenue or not performing revenue generating activities and not improving your craft as well. And over the course of a year, that's more than 500 hours. A full quarter of your working life is spent on exact things that your creative brain was just never wired to enjoy or excel at. The gap between your creative ability and your business infrastructure is not just frustrating, it's extremely expensive. And it's getting more and more expensive as the market gets more crowded. So something has to change, and that window to change is right now. Here's the shift that I want you to make. Stop thinking about AI as the creative threat and start thinking about it as a business infrastructure tool. That's the reframe. AI does not replace your creative instinct. It gives you the business infrastructure that your creative brain never naturally was wired to do and to deal with, and it will build it on its own. Instead of dreading the proposal that takes you half a day to build, you can just brief AI on the project and have a professional level first draft in 10 minutes. And then you can just refine it. It's 80-20. Get 80% of the way there, and you can just tweak it the last 20% to make it you. Instead of reading through dull contracts that just sap your creativity, leverage AI to review it. Don't take full legal advice from the AI. That's not what I'm suggesting. But it can give you some feedback that your creative brain just cannot comprehend on its own. Instead of having no idea where your money goes each month, use AI to help you track it. categorize it, and actually understand your own business finances. Because again, we're looking at the creative mind versus the analytical mind of admin tasks. These are the direct antithesis of each other, and we need to find the way to leverage these tools that we have access to now to help us breeze through that so we can spend most of our time in creative thinking. So basically what I'm saying is the gap that's been holding you and your business back for years doesn't have to exist anymore. AI just completely closed that gap. Before I break this down in more detail, I want to make sure you know about one small thing. I work one-on-one with video production business owners who are trying to grow past the 10 to 25K a month ceiling. We get into the specifics of the business, what's actually creating the bottleneck, what a cleaner path forward looks like, and how to build a model that actually gives you more revenue without all of the chaos. And I don't do this because I'm a coach or a guru. I do this because I've been through it. I've been in the industry for over 12 years. I've built my own production company, and I'm not going to teach you anything that I haven't put into practice myself and proven that it works. So if that sounds like a conversation worth having, I've got a link in the description where you can book a free 30-minute call. No pitch, just a conversation between two people who are in the same industry. Links in the description. Okay, let's get into it. So here are 4 areas where AI can actually change things in your production company while maintaining your creative energy. So number 1 is proposals. This is one area where creatives spend most of their time and money, and they don't even realize it. A weak proposal doesn't just lose you a job. It signals to the client that you're not a professional operation before the project even starts. And the hours you spend staring at a blank page, trying to figure out how to articulate your value, that time is coming directly out of your creative output and your margin. So here's what that shift looks like. Use AI to brief the project. I would recommend bringing in some transcripts from some discovery calls and interactions that you've had with your client. Use that to brief the AI on the project, the client, the deliverables, the creative direction, the budget range, the timeline, and then ask it for a structured first draft. If you have a template or an example of a proposal that you've built before that you actually won and were proud of, give that the context of your business as well. It will use it, it will leverage it. Then you can rewrite it in your own voice. Add the specific creative thinking that only you can bring. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. It needs to be authentically you. So make sure you're taking that first draft as a way to get 80% of the way there. And then the final 20%, I would spend that energy on making it sound, feel, and represent you and be true to who you are as a creative. This will help you get to a place where you can send a proposal that looks something a lot bigger than what you actually are as an agency and represent you a lot more down the road. The proposal still sounds like you. The thinking is still yours, but the infrastructure, the professional language, the flow is handled. In the early years of my production studio, I was sending proposals that were awful. They were not templatized. They were very inconsistent from one to the next. I didn't have the data that I needed from my client discovery calls to create something custom. These are all things that you can avoid now with meeting recording software and transcripts that you can generate from calls. My proposals weren't embarrassing because the creative was weak, but because the presentation was extremely inconsistent. Some were great, some were barely coherent. And the moment that we focused on building a repeatable system for our proposals and how I packaged my thinking, our close rate went all the way up. Ask yourself right now, how long did your last proposal take you to write? And did it actually reflect the quality of the work that you deliver? Number 2 is contract review. And as a creative person, nothing can sap your creativity and energy and just desire to be living than reviewing legal language. Most production companies are signing and sending contracts that they don't fully understand. Maybe you pulled a contract template from LegalZoom or something like this, and now you've been using it for years. I was guilty of this. We used a templatized contract for years before we had an attorney review it and tell us all of the things that we were doing wrong. And to be clear, sometimes, maybe most of the time, that's absolutely fine, until it's not. AI will not replace a lawyer. I want to be clear about that. This is not legal advice by any means in this video, but it will read the contract and flag clauses that you should be paying attention to. It will explain in plain language what you're actually agreeing to, and it will tell you something that looks unusual compared to industry standards before you sign. I had a client send me a redline version of a contract back with a clause that essentially handed over ownership of any creative concepts developed during the pitch, including the ones that were not used on the project. And we caught it, negotiated it out, and that clause could have cost us significant work in the future. And AI would have flagged that in 30 seconds. Just think, how many contracts have you signed in the last 12 months that you didn't read all the way through first? Number 3 is financial clarity. This is one that separates production companies that scale from ones that just stay stuck. You can be doing $20,000 months and still feel broke. I've seen it and I've lived it. Revenue is not profit. Busy is not healthy. And if you don't know your actual margins on each type of project that you do, you're guessing in your own business, and that's destined for failure. For example, you might be doing real estate retainer work that looks reliable on the surface, but it's actually your lowest margin work. And you might be turning down projects that could be significantly more profitable for you, simply because you've never done the math. One of the most impactful things I ever did for my business was implement a profit-first style allocation system. This was in the early stages of the business, and we would segment money as it comes in, so profit, tax, and operating costs each went into separate accounts automatically. It forced me to understand my numbers in a way that changed how I priced the work that we took on. And now AI can help you build that system. AI can help you categorize expenses, understand your margins, and stop flying blind on the financial side of your business. So ask yourself this: do you know your average profit margin for the last 5 projects? Not revenue, margin. What actually went into your pocket when the job was done? If the answer is no, that's a gap and it needs to be fixed. Number 4, brainstorming and concept development. This is an area where most creatives are using AI wrong, and probably where they're using it most frequently. And it's also the one with the biggest upside if you actually use it right. A lot of people in the video space are using AI to generate creative concepts, asking it for ideas, and then taking the output and presenting it to a client. And the result is that everything starts to look and sound the same. Same structures, same angles, same language, no differentiator. You're not competing on creativity anymore. You are competing on price, and this, I guarantee, will drive you to the bottom. The right way to use AI for creative work is not as an idea generator, but as a sparring partner. You bring your original concept, the genuine creative instinct that comes from your experience and your taste, and then you use AI to pressure test it, poke holes in it, push it further, explore directions that you've not maybe considered. You can go back to the original idea sharper and more confident because you have stress tested it. A few years ago, my company had what was hands down our best year, both creatively and financially. Our whole approach going into that year was built around the idea of invest in the creative. I know it sounds extremely simple, but we were willing to take a hit on our margin to make the best possible products and deliverables that we could. And what we found at the end of that year was that obsessing over the output attracted better clients. It commanded better prices and made it our most profitable year to date. The lesson was not that money does not matter. The lesson was that creative quality and financial success are not in tension. They compound on each other when you get the thinking right. So I recommend using AI to make your creative instinct sharper and not to replace your creative thinking. So I know that was a lot, so let me bring it back to one thing. You don't need to overhaul your entire business this week. You do not need to become a tech person who spends hundreds and hundreds of dollars on software. You just need to make one shift on how you're thinking about AI. It's not coming for your creativity. It's coming for your 4 to 6 hours a week that you spend doing things that your brain was never designed to enjoy. The proposals, the admin, the contracts, the financial fog that you have, the creative second guessing, the gap between your creative ability and your business infrastructure, the gap that's been your creative ceiling this whole time, it just doesn't have to exist anymore. You can reclaim those hours and put those back into the craft and doing what you love. And then just watch what happens to the quality of your work and the confidence with which you price it. And the production companies that figure this out in the next 12 to 24 months are going to look like a completely different category of business to their clients. And the ones that don't are going to keep competing on price and wondering why it keeps getting harder and harder and they can't charge what they want to charge. So if you're running a video production business right now and you're somewhere between 10 and 25K a month and it feels more chaotic than it should for the revenue that you're doing, I want to talk to you. I've got a link in the description to book a free 30-minute call. We'll look at your specific situation and figure out what the actual bottleneck is in your business and talk about a clearer path forward and what that might look like. No pitch, just a conversation. And if you want to go deeper on the other side of this AI conversation, specifically why using AI the wrong way will actually be the thing that will commoditize your business and make you completely indistinguishable from everyone else in the market. This is exactly what this next video covers, and it might be the most uncomfortable 10 minutes that you spend on your business this week. I'll see you there.